The spaceport buzzed with life. Ships of all shapes and sizes came and went, carrying travelers, traders, and smugglers. Neon lights flickered over the crowded streets, reflecting on puddles of strange alien liquids. The air smelled of fuel, fried food, and the faint tang of ozone from ship engines. It was a city that never slept, full of danger and opportunity in equal measure. Among the crowd, Lyria moved like she owned the place. Her blue hair, wild and untamed, flowed behind her as she walked with a confident swagger. Her eyes sparkled with mischief, and her smile was dangerously sweet, the kind that could charm both friend and foe. People gave her space, some out of fear, others out of respect. Lyria had a reputation. She was clever, daring, and unpredictable, a smuggler who never stayed in one place too long. Tonight she was in a shady cantina at the edge of the port, negotiating a deal with a small alien gang. They wanted something rare that Lyria had acquired during her last run, a shipment of exotic energy crystals that glowed with a soft purple light. The aliens were nervous, their claws tapping on the table as they tried to intimidate her. "You think we will trust you?" one of them hissed, his multi-eyed face glaring. "You have no proof these crystals are real." Lyria leaned back in, her chair swinging one leg casually. "Oh, I think you will trust me. After all, I wouldn't waste my time lying to people who could eat me for breakfast." Her voice was playful, but the warning behind it was clear. The aliens muttered among themselves, unsure. Lyria's charm worked as well as her reputation. She had survived countless dangerous encounters, and she knew it. Yet, she felt a subtle tension in the air, something she couldn't place. That was when Kale walked in. He was human, tall, with sharp features and calm eyes that seemed to look straight through the chaos of the cantina. Unlike the crowd around him, he moved slowly and deliberately, unbothered by the noise and flashing lights. There was something in the way he carried himself, a quiet authority that made people step aside instinctively. Lyria noticed him immediately. She tilted her head, a playful smirk forming on her lips. Humans were rare out here, and this one was different. He didn't look scared. He didn't look lost. He looked certain. Kale's gaze fell on her, and for a moment, the noise of the cantina seemed to fade. He didn't smile. He didn't talk. He just watched, and Lyria, usually fearless, felt a flicker of curiosity, and something she didn't expect. Caution. The alien gang noticed him too, shifting nervously. "Who is he?" one hissed. "A human? Here?" Lyria shrugged, leaning forward on the table, her fingers brushing the glowing crystal. "I don't know. Maybe someone who's about to make your life harder." Kyle stepped closer. His presence was calm, but there was an intensity behind it that demanded attention. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't draw a weapon. He simply approached the table. "You shouldn't be here," one of the aliens spat, trying to assert dominance. Kale's eyes narrowed, but his voice remained steady. "I'm not here to fight, but you will leave her alone." The cantina fell silent. Even the bartender paused, polishing a glass. Lyria blinked, surprised. No one had ever spoken to her that way, not in her life of constant danger. And yet she didn't feel threatened. Instead, she felt intrigued. Lyria's smile widened. "Well, aren't you bold coming into my business and speaking like that?" She leaned back, letting her wild hair fall around her shoulders. "Do you know who you're dealing with?" Kale didn't answer immediately. He looked at her, his calm gaze holding hers. "I know enough, and I know I can help you, if you let me." The alien gang hissed and clicked their claws, growing angry. "This human, he dares—" Kale's voice cut through the tension. "Leave, now, or face consequences you don't understand." For a moment, nothing moved. Then, slowly, the aliens backed away, grumbling. Lyria watched them leave, her playful smile turning into a grin of genuine admiration. "You handled that well," she said, leaning forward again. "Most people wouldn't survive trying to threaten me." Kale nodded slightly. "I didn't come to threaten. I came to keep a promise. Lyria tilted her head, curious. A promise? From you? And what promise might that be? Kale's voice was low, calm, but carried weight. A promise to take you home. The words hung in the air. Lyria's eyes widened slightly and she laughed softly, though it was tinged with disbelief. Home? You think I have a home? I've been running from one place to another my whole life. I survive on my own. I don't need anyone to take me anywhere. Kale's gaze didn't waver. Maybe not. But sometimes even the strongest need a place where they belong, a place where they are safe. Lyria's smile faltered for the first time that evening. She had never met someone who spoke to her like this. He wasn't impressed by her reputation. He wasn't afraid of her charm. And yet he wasn't trying to control her either. You make it sound simple, she said quietly. But out here, simple doesn't exist. Kale shrugged, calm as ever. Then maybe we make it simple together. For the first time in a long time, Lyria felt a flicker of something she couldn't name. Trust, curiosity, a sense of possibility. She didn't know. But she knew one thing. This human was different. And she wanted to see what would happen next. The cantina's neon lights reflected on her blue hair, making it shine like a wild, electric river. She laughed softly, shaking her head. You're strange, bold, and maybe dangerous in a different way than I'm used to. Kale gave a small, almost imperceptible smile. And you? You're more than you let others see. That's why I promised. Lyria leaned back in her chair, studying him. The city outside was loud, chaotic, and dangerous, but for the first time she didn't feel alone. She didn't feel like the wild, untouchable smuggler who had to survive on her own. She felt intrigued. The promise hung between them, unspoken but heavy with possibility. Lyria didn't know what would come next, but she knew one thing. Her life had just taken a turn she couldn't have predicted. And maybe, just maybe, it was a turn worth following. Outside the cantina, the city never stopped moving. Ships roared overhead, neon signs flickered, and the universe stretched out, vast and unknown. But inside, two people sat quietly, their paths just beginning to intertwine, the promise of a new future waiting to be tested. The night air outside the cantina was thick with the hum of ships and the chatter of alien travelers. Lyria leaned against the railing of her small, sleek starship, staring at the glowing city below. Her blue hair reflected the neon lights, almost as if it had a life of its own. She had been thinking about the human, Kale, since he had walked into the cantina. Something about him unsettled her. In a good way. She didn't like feeling unsettled. She liked control, freedom, and the chaos of her own making. But Kale had a calm presence that made her question her own instincts. He had promised to take her home. She had laughed at it at first, but now the words echoed in her mind. Home. What did that even mean? Before she could overthink it, a sharp alarm beeped inside her ship. She frowned. The small alien gang she had dealt with earlier was not the type to let matters rest. She grabbed her blaster and sprinted to the cockpit. The radar showed multiple fast-moving ships closing in. They had tracked her here. Damn, she thought, and she had been hoping for a quiet night. A sudden, calm voice broke through her calm. You're not alone. Lyria's heart skipped a beat. She turned toward the voice to see Kale stepping onto the platform outside her ship. How did he get here so fast? He didn't seem in any rush, yet his eyes were sharp, scanning the incoming ships. Human, she said with a half-smile. You really are everywhere. I told you I keep my promises, Kale said simply. Lyria raised an eyebrow. Promises, huh? Let's see if yours are worth anything. She pushed a few buttons on her control panel, sending the ship's engines into overdrive. The gang's ships lit up the sky, their weapons glowing red. Lyria's ship darted between the city towers, making sharp turns and sudden climbs. She was fast, but these ships were skilled, and they anticipated her every move. Kale didn't jump into her ship. Instead, he calmly activated a small hover platform, following her with smooth precision. His movements were effortless, almost like he was dancing through the chaos. Lyria blinked. What is he? She wondered. Humans weren't supposed to move like that. Keep straight for the asteroid belt, Kale called, his voice calm, guiding her through the crowded skies. I can block their sensors and give us cover. Trust me. Lyria hesitated. She wasn't used to trusting anyone, especially not someone who seemed so untouchable. But she had no other choice. She followed his instructions, weaving her ship through narrow gaps and dodging red laser fire. True to his word, Kale activated his device. A wave of shimmering light spread across the space ahead of them, causing the pursuing ship's sensors to fail. They were lost for a few precious seconds. Lyria laughed, a sound full of adrenaline. Okay, human, you might actually be useful. Kyle didn't smile, but she could see a hint of satisfaction in his eyes. Focus. We're not safe. Yet. The chase led them out of the city and into open space. Stars stretched endlessly and distant planets glowed faintly. The alien ships regained some control and continued pursuit, but Kale had already calculated the fastest route to the asteroid belt. He guided Lyria through jagged rocks, narrow canyons, and spinning debris, showing a skill that rivaled her own. One point, Lyria had to make a sharp turn around a floating rock. Her ship tilted dangerously and beyond the asteroid belt, space stretched endlessly, black and dotted with distant stars. Lyria's ship moved cautiously, guided by Kale's calm instructions. The danger was far from over. The alien gang had vanished for now, but Lyria knew they were only the beginning. She had survived countless threats before, yet this human beside her was different. Somehow he made her feel both reckless and safe at the same time. You're quiet, Kale said over the comm, breaking the tense silence. Lyria smirked, leaning against the console. I'm thinking. That's what quiet is for, you know. Kale's calm eyes scanned the instruments, but she could see a hint of curiosity in his expression. About? She hesitated, then shrugged. About you. About all this. You walk into a crowded cantina, promise to take me home and somehow make alien gangs vanish, and here I am, following your instructions like a good little co-pilot. Kale didn't smile, but his eyes softened. It's not about making them vanish. It's about knowing when and how to act. You survive because you take risks. I survive because I calculate them. Together, we are stronger. Lyria blinked. Stronger together? She had never worked with anyone, let alone someone so calm and confident. She had always been alone. Her wild, blue-haired independence was her shield, her weapon, and her home. Yet here was Kale showing her a different kind of strength. Suddenly her sensors beeped violently. Something's coming, she said, her tone sharp now. On the display, a fleet of sleek black ships appeared, moving fast and silent. These were not the gang. These ships were larger, organized, and heavily armed. Kale's expression didn't change, though his gaze became more intense. I expected them sooner or later. They've been tracking energy signatures across this sector. Those crystals you carry, they are only part of a larger plan. Lyria frowned. Larger plan? What plan? Who are these people? Kale glanced at her briefly. A group that doesn't want humans to expand or succeed. They fear us. They fear what we can do. And they will stop at nothing to control resources, technology, and power in the galaxy. Lyria's heart raced. She had survived alien gangs, smugglers, and mercenaries, but this was bigger than anything she had faced. She looked at Kale, searching for fear or hesitation. She found none, only calm determination. Then what do we do? She asked. Kale's voice was steady. We move to the neutral outpost nearby. It's a safe zone for now. We can figure out our next step there. Lyria hesitated. Neutral outpost, you mean like a trap? I don't do well with traps. Kale's gaze softened slightly, almost reassuring. You're not alone this time, trust me. For the first time. Lyria felt the pull of something stronger than her own instincts. She started the ship following Kale's precise directions. The fleet behind them moved faster, but Kale anticipated every maneuver, guiding her through asteroid clusters, magnetic storms, and fields of space debris. Each second tested her skill and her trust in him. They reached the outpost, a massive station orbiting a quarantined planet. Its surface glowed with defense systems and docking bays, giving it the appearance of strength and safety. Lyria slowed her ship as Kale instructed, docking smoothly. The station doors opened, and a small team of humans greeted them, weapons ready but restrained. One of the humans stepped forward, scanning her carefully. "Identify yourself," he said. Lyria raised an eyebrow, her blue hair shining in the station's lights. "I'm Lyria. I survive, and apparently I'm being protected by this human here." Kale nodded slightly. "She is with me." The human scanned Kyle's identification, then relaxed. "Very well, you may dock, but stay within the safe zone until we assess the situation." Lyria exhaled, leaning back in her chair. For the first time in years, she felt cautious relief. She wasn't free, not entirely, but she was safe for now. Kale led her through the station corridors. "These people will help us understand the threat you are facing. But you need to know something," he said, his voice low. "The alien fleet tracking us is part of a larger conspiracy. They are targeting humans, our technology, and our allies. Your crystals are only one piece of the puzzle." Lyria frowned. "Why would anyone care about me? I'm just a smuggler, a small-time thief. Why involve me in something bigger?" Kale stopped and turned to face her. "Because you survived, because you acted alone and clever, because you have something they can't control, human resilience, and they fear that." She blinked. Human resilience. She had always thought humans were fragile, unpredictable, and weak. Yet Kale's calm confidence suggested otherwise. She realized she had underestimated them. Him. Kale led her to a small observation room overlooking the sector. The fleet of black ships moved in formation, like predators circling their prey. Lyria watched silently, feeling a mix of fear and awe. "Home," Kyle said quietly, breaking her thoughts, "is not just a place. It's where you are safe. Where you can use your skills without constant fear. Where you can make a difference. That is why I promised to take you home." Lyria's blue hair glimmered under the station lights as she looked at him. She had always considered herself wild, free, untouchable. But here, with Kale beside her, she felt something shift. Maybe home wasn't a trap. Maybe it was something worth fighting for. The alien fleet would not give up. They would continue hunting. But Lyria felt a spark of hope for the first time in years. Maybe survival wasn't enough anymore. Maybe there was more to life than running and hiding. Kale watched her, noting the change in her expression. She was still wild, still unpredictable, still dangerously sweet. But now she was also beginning to see a future she had never imagined, a future where she wasn't alone. And for the first time, Lyria wondered if she could trust someone else. The human outpost was quiet now, but danger waited beyond the station. Lyria sat in the observation room, her blue hair glowing faintly in the dim light. She watched the distant stars, thinking about the promise Kale had made, to take her home. Home. The word felt strange. She had spent her life running from one dangerous place to another. Home was a concept she didn't need. Until now. Kale entered the room silently, his calm presence filling the space. He leaned against the wall and looked at her, his gaze steady. "We have to move soon," he said. Lyria turned to him, raising an eyebrow. "Move? Again? Can't we stay safe here for a little while?" Kyle shook his head. "The fleet hasn't given up. They will keep hunting. We need to leave this sector and take a faster route through hyperspace lanes. It's risky, but it's our best chance." Lyria sighed. She hated leaving safety, even if it was temporary. But she also knew Kale was right. Survival had taught her to trust skill and calculation, even if it meant following someone else's plan. They boarded her ship, the engines humming softly. Kyle guided her through the docking bay with precise instructions. His calm voice contrasted with the rush of adrenaline in Lyria's veins. She had faced danger before, but something about traveling with Kale was different. She felt measured, yet alive. As they entered open space, the black alien fleet reappeared on her radar. Their formation was tight, moving with deadly precision. Lyria's hands tightened on the controls. "They're faster than I thought," she muttered. Kyle studied the display, his calm eyes analyzing every movement. "We'll use the hyperspace. Lanes, narrow paths, hard to navigate. They won't follow us easily there." Lyria smirked. "So you're saying we're going to play cat and mouse in space?" Kale didn't smile. "Something like that. Focus. I'll guide you." The hyperspace lanes were narrow, twisting paths through asteroid fields and unstable star currents. Lyria's ship dodged debris and sudden energy surges, guided by Kale's precise directions. He told her when to turn sharply, when to boost engines, and when to drop altitude. It was like a deadly dance, and for once, Lyria felt like she wasn't alone on the floor. Halfway through the chase, Lyria's hands relaxed slightly. "You really know what you're doing," she admitted. Kale glanced at her briefly. "I've studied human and alien tactics for years. You adapt well under pressure. That's why you survived this long." Lyria blinked, slightly stunned. No one had ever praised her like that. Her blue hair bounced as she turned sharply to avoid a spinning rock. "I survive because I have to, not because someone notices." Kale's calm gaze held hers. "Sometimes noticing makes a difference. Knowing you are seen and understood can change how you fight, how you live." Lyria shook her head, laughing, softly despite the danger. "You make it sound easy." "It's not easy," Kale said quietly. "It's possible. That's different." As they raced through the lanes, the alien fleet struggled to follow. Their ships weren't built for the sharp turns and unpredictable paths. Lyria's ship twisted and rolled through space like a comet, her skill evident in every maneuver. Kale's guidance made the difference, turning near-certain death into calculated survival. After hours of tense navigation, the lanes opened into wider space. Lyria exhaled, leaning back in her seat. Her heart still pounded, but adrenaline gave way to a strange calm. She glanced at Kyle, who hovered beside her ship, his gaze on the fading fleet. "You made it look easy," she said, smirking. Kyle didn't smile. "Easy is rare. Survival is calculated." For the first time, Lyria felt a flicker of respect. Real respect. She had always relied on instinct, charm, and speed. Now she saw the power of strategy, patience, and calm thinking. Humans were not fragile. They were clever, adaptable, and persistent. And Kale embodied all of that. The human stronghold appeared like a fortress among the stars. Massive shields glimmered faintly, protecting the station from the dangers of the galaxy. Ships docked in orderly rows, and human personnel moved with precise coordination. Lyria stared at it from the cockpit, her blue hair brushing her shoulders as she took in the sight. For the first time, she felt something she hadn't felt in years, a strange mixture of awe and hesitation. Kale's calm voice broke her thoughts. "This is your new temporary home, a place where you can be safe while we plan the next step." Lyria frowned slightly. "Home? Temporary home? You humans make things sound so structured." "I don't know if I can do structured." Kyle didn't smile, but his eyes were patient. "You don't have to do everything at once, just take the first step." She exhaled and followed him through the docking bay. Everywhere she looked, humans moved efficiently, communicating through devices and hand signals. Alien allies mingled quietly, their expressions cautious but respectful. Lyria's usual charm and confidence drew a few curious glances, but she ignored them. This was different from the chaotic spaceports she knew. This place had rules, and she was not used to rules. Inside the stronghold, Kale introduced her to the leaders. They were cautious, as expected. Lyria was a stranger, a wild card, but Kale's word carried weight. He explained her story briefly. A smuggler with unmatched skill, hunted by alien forces now under human protection. The leaders listened, nodding thoughtfully. You have a place here, Kale said quietly to Lyria after the meeting. Not a permanent one, but a start. You can learn, adapt, and maybe make a difference. Lyria smirked, brushing a strand of blue hair from her face. Make a difference? Me? I survive, not inspire, not make a difference. Kale's calm gaze met hers. Sometimes survival is the first step toward change. You have skills that can help more than just yourself. For the first time, Lyria considered the idea. She had always survived for herself, using her wits, speed, and charm. But maybe her skills could matter to something bigger than her own freedom. Over the next few days, she trained with human strategists and engineers. She learned how to integrate her instincts with structured planning, her reflexes with technology, her wild thinking with careful analysis. It was strange, exhausting, and thrilling. Lyria had always relied on herself, but now she saw how humans approached danger and how effective they were. Kyle watched her quietly, guiding her when necessary, but allowing her to find her own rhythm. Lyria found herself respecting his methods more than she expected. His calm, calculated approach was different from the chaotic instincts she had always trusted, but she realized that together, instinct and strategy could be unstoppable. 1. Evening. She sat in the observation deck looking at the galaxy beyond the shields. Kyle joined her silently, his presence comforting in a way she didn't understand. They're coming, he said, eyes on the stars. The alien fleet, they won't stop, but we are ready this time. Lyria frowned. Ready? I'm not used to teams, to strongholds, to being part of something bigger. Kyle's voice was calm, patient. That's why I promised to take you home. Home isn't just a place, it's people, purpose, and preparation. You don't have to do this alone anymore. Her blue hair caught the soft light as she thought about his words. She had always been wild, reckless, and independent. But the idea of purpose, of working with others, was starting to feel right. Strange, but right. The next day, the alarm sounded. The alien fleet had tracked them to the stronghold. Red warning lights flashed across the station as humans and allies prepared for battle. Lyria's heart raced, but this time fear was mixed with determination. Kale's calm voice guided her. Use your skills. Watch the openings. We survive. Together. Lyria's ship launched from the bay, twisting through the station's shields, dodging laser fire. She relied on her instincts, honed reflexes, and Kale's guidance. The alien fleet was relentless, but the stronghold's defenses were strong, and the humans had prepared well. Lyria saw her wild, blue-haired self reflected in the chaos, daring, unpredictable, and fearless. But she also saw something new: order, strategy, and trust. She maneuvered her ship to flank the enemy, her actions complementing the human defense systems. Kale hovered nearby, his calm presence steadying her. Together they coordinated attacks, using both instinct and calculation. The alien fleet faltered, under their combined efforts struggling to adapt to the unpredictable but precise human tactics. After a tense battle, the alien ships retreated. Lyria's ship glided back to the stronghold, adrenaline still pumping, but a sense of accomplishment filling her. For the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere, like her skills mattered beyond survival. Kyle joined her at the docking bay. You did well, he said quietly. Not just surviving, but helping others survive too. Lyria smiled, brushing a strand of blue hair from her face. Maybe I'm starting to see what home could mean. Not just a place, but people, purpose, and being part of something bigger. Kale's gaze softened. That's why I promised. Not just to take you somewhere safe, but to help you find where you belong. You're still wild, still dangerously sweet, but now you have a place to use that strength. Lyria laughed softly, a mix of relief and newfound understanding. The galaxy was still dangerous, the threats not over. But for the first time, she didn't feel alone. She had a purpose, allies, and someone she could trust beside her. And for the first time, She began to believe that her life could be more than survival. It could be meaningful, connected, and even home. The galaxy outside the human stronghold was calm now, but everyone knew it was only a brief reprieve. Lyria stood on the observation deck, her blue hair brushing her shoulders, eyes fixed on the stars. The alien fleet had retreated, but they would return. She had survived countless dangers before, yet this felt different. For the first time, survival was not enough. She had people depending on her. She had a purpose. She had Kyle. Kyle joined her silently, his presence calm and steady. He stood beside her, watching the distant stars. "They will come back," he said quietly, "but this time we are ready. And you are ready too." Lyria shook her head slightly, a small smile forming on her lips. "Ready? I've never been ready for anything, but I think I understand now. Home isn't just safety. It's people, trust and purpose. And maybe even someone who keeps their promises." Kyle glanced at her, a rare soft smile appearing. "Exactly. And you've learned that even the wildest, most independent person can be part of something bigger without losing themselves." Her blue hair glimmered in the soft lights of the deck. Lyria had always believed that freedom meant running, surviving, and avoiding attachments. But Kale had shown her another kind of strength: the courage to trust, the courage to belong, and the courage to fight not just for herself, but for others. Suddenly, the alarm blared. The alien fleet had returned, larger and faster than before. Lyria's heart raced, but this time it was different. She didn't feel panic. She felt purpose. She felt ready. Kyle's calm voice guided her. "Take your position, focus, use your instincts, and trust the plan. We survive together." Lyria climbed into her ship, feeling a surge of adrenaline. Her hands gripped the controls as she watched the alien fleet approach. The human stronghold's defenses activated, energy shields, and laser turrets lighting the surrounding space. This time, they were not alone. Allies flanked her, and Kale hovered nearby, coordinating the defense with calm precision. The alien ships opened fire, red energy bolts cutting through the void. Lyria weaved through them, her blue hair trailing like a comet in the cockpit lights. She dodged, spun, and counterattacked with calculated precision, Kyle's guidance complementing her instincts perfectly. "You're doing well." Kyle's voice came over the comm. "Focus on the openings. Lead them into the trap." Lyria grinned, adrenaline surging. "Finally, a challenge worth my skills." She pushed the engines, twisting her ship through narrow gaps, luring the alien fleet into a deadly corridor of hyperspace mines and defensive lasers. The battle raged fiercely. Lyria relied on instinct, agility, and Kale's calm strategy. For the first time, she realized that survival wasn't just about her skills. It was about teamwork, trust, and using her strength to protect others. One of the larger alien ships attempted to break through, aiming for the stronghold itself. Lyria dove in front of it, dodging its fire and drawing it into a trap set by human engineers. The ship exploded in a brilliant flash, debris scattering into the void. "Excellent," Kale said calmly. "Keep moving. We've almost cornered them." Lyria felt exhilaration and satisfaction she had never experienced. She had always fought for herself, but now she was fighting for more. For Kale. For the humans who trusted her. For the chance to belong somewhere. The alien fleet faltered, under the coordinated assault. Lyria led them into the final trap, where the human stronghold's combined defenses destroyed their ships one by one. The battle ended in a blaze of light, the alien threat finally neutralized. For now. Lyria's ship glided back to the stronghold, her heart still racing but a deep sense of accomplishment filling her. She had survived countless threats before, but this time she had done more than survive. She had protected, contributed, and found purpose. Kale met her at the docking bay, his calm presence reassuring. "You did well, H.